Hi, John.
Hello, Alex.
Do you know what I hate?
Whatest thou hatest?
Samuel L. Jackson. In Kingsman.
Oh, you mean the star of the Kingsman?
The star of the Kingsman? Suffering Thuckatash, he's there within a lot of themes.
Cool Britannia, Britannia, you are cool. Take a trip. Britain's ever shall be. Hip me, hip me.
I actually like him in that simply because I don't know if this is around the same time that he did The Spirit. When he was in The Spirit, word on the street was that he was just like nutso in that. And it was Frank Miller directing, who had no idea what he was doing. So Samuel L. Jackson was just like, this thing's going to suck. I'm going to be weird. I'm going to wear a Nazi uniform in one scene. And I feel like this one is also like, he could have just phoned this in. He could have just been Samuel L. Jackson. But he's like, what if I had a lisp? And who's going to tell him no?
I mean, I think the producers or the directors probably should have, because it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I just need to like lead with this, just because I am talking about Samuel L. Jackson and his terrible lisp. This might be my favorite movie ever. It is.
Oh, this will be a good one then, because I don't like it.
Oh boy, this is. I mean, I don't think I have a defense for it, but this was every itch I had right now. This scratched. It's the perfect level of dumb. It's everything I don't like about 60s spy movies. Like if I watch a 60s spy movie and complain about stuff, these people somehow listened to my complaints and went, hey, we'll just do this. We'll make everything fast. Everything's going to be just as nonsensical. This lady's got sword feet. It's oh boy, I enjoyed the fuck out of this thing.
Yeah, see, I have, I think the first hour is fun, even though it's also just Men in Black. But it's
yeah. But it's Men in Black like better.
I think it's hateful. I think it's like the action scenes are kind of neat, but like it doesn't say anything at all. And it spends too much time letting you know it's not a spy film, like going like, hey, remember those? We're not that. And I get it. Just why don't you just be that instead of telling me you're that?
See, what I liked is because they kept saying they're not a spy film and then do obvious spy film tropes. I liked how it's self-aware but wrong about it. So I liked it.
I don't know. That got so obnoxious because I think it's like because I don't know what that's saying. You know what I mean? Like it's either you're trying to break away and do the same thing or you're not. And if you're not, but claiming you are, what am I supposed to do with that? Like how am I, like I think it's one thing to be irreverent and whatever, but I just don't think this movie is charming enough to pull that off.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed it. Other than Samuel L. Jackson, I found it incredibly distracting. Also, there was the shocking part of this movie, the fact that Mark Strong wasn't the villain. How does that happen?
I love Mark Strong, and we'll see him. I'm happy when he's in any role. Yeah, well, he was the villain in the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movie, the first one.
He's just got a villain face. I mean, he's so obviously the bad guy.
Yeah, he's villainy as hell. He's great. Like him and Colin Firth are both fantastic in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, playing different kinds of spies. And the spies that this movie is trying to get away from, they even make reference to like, oh, this stuff's so dour now, even though I believe Tinker Tailor came out before then. But even then, by that time, there was also... talk about spy movies not being fun. The XXX movies existed, or at least two of them did.
Vin Diesel and Ice Cube.
And Ice Cube. Which the third one, which is really hateful. It seems like it was made in 2008, but it was actually probably more like 2004. But it was made in 2017, which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a nearly 50-year-old Vin Diesel trying to do extreme sports. Yeah, it's really embarrassing.
It's bad. But some of the stuff like there was fun versions of these spy things already happening. So I think they were trying to reclaim some of the silliness of it, which I support because my favorite James Bond is Roger Moore. And my least favorite is Timothy Dalton, simply because Timothy Dalton fought against drug runners or, drug lords and gun runners. And Roger Moore was fighting dudes that built bases on the moon that no one knew about. And I kind of like that wackiness.
I like it in concept. I think those movies are tough to sit through, though. But I do like
always
the wacky.
Like at least 20 minutes too long, or feel 20 minutes too long.
Well, that's what I like what they're trying here. I think this movie's a little too long, but I like how they kept the pace fast, because this is my main complaint with like old Bond movies, which this movie is. They're just trying to make a modern Bond movie. is that the Bond movies are just glacially paced. Even, I mean, the new ones aren't, but the new ones don't feel like Bond movies. Like I like the cheesy Bond, but at speed, which this movie accomplished for me. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing the sequel, and I think there's another sequel after that.
There's one that just came out that apparently is even more hateful than this one. So that's surprising. But
when you say hateful, what do you mean? I'm not even questioning whether you're right or wrong. I would like elaboration on this point.
It's, I mean, much like Bond movies, but I think in a worse way, it's extremely misogynistic. The violence is so over the top that it's meaningless. And I think that scene in the middle, although very impressive, of Colin Firth and the Westboro Baptist Church type people.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Sucks the air out of the movie.
Okay, we're gonna disagree on that, but let's get to that later. Yeah, that doesn't feel very hateful. The misogyny, I guess, I can kind of give you.
Like any sort of like whatever message it's trying to convey is to me pretty reactionary and conservative. I mean, spy movies by their nature are that. But you have like any depictions of like the working class, even though it's like, no, anyone can be a gentleman. The working class are all criminal slugs. Anyone can be a gentleman as long as you have these trappings of the gentlemanly stuff, this conspicuous consumption. So your problem is
accuracy. Like the working class are scum.
All poor people are thugs. That's interesting to know. Thank you.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, I'm working class. I mean, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's true. You are currently in a wife beater stirring the sauce.
I mean, I've given 3 knuckle sandwiches today, bruv.
Yeah. I
said knuckle sandwiches. What's that thing where you smash some guy's face on a curb?
That's curb stomping.
Curb stomping. Yeah, I've done 3 curb stompings today.
A knuckle sandwich would have worked, although I don't know what the British equivalent of a knuckle sandwich is. A knucky tart?
Knuckle sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like they're fighting against climate change, which I mean, admittedly, his plan is ridiculous or whatever. But that's also he could have been doing anything. But his whole thing was about the planet.
So that's
Mark
one of the
Hamill being in there is pretty fucking stupid. Although that's not hateful.
Yeah, see, I love Hamill in this. The Samuel L. Jackson part. The reason it annoys me extra is because of how over the top and ridiculous the villain is in this. Mm-hmm. That if it was somebody younger and still had the charm, that could have been such a fun part. But he just, it just sat there for me.
I think he's having fun with it. I like, there's parts of his character I like the idea that like he's committing all this violence but can't stand to see it. I think there's a nugget of
that's great.
Something there.
Well, I mean, but I also like that. I mean, in the same way as like kind of a Thanos thing where it's like, he's technically right.
Well, not really though, because I mean, like particularly the Thanos thing, because the Thanos thing is like, we're out of resources. Well, what does that even mean? You know, like what? That's just like a thing you invented. And in this one,
I mean, the universe, like the world's running out of resources. That's not a thing you invented. That's like
it's a universe. What resources are we running out of?
Well, the universe is finite,
right?
So we're running out of resources, like
it's still that's like having a silo full of grain, and you've used 3 pieces of grain and been like, we got to kill half the people on this farm. We're using too much grain. Well, I'm just saying it's not accurately explained as to what exactly the issue is. It's pretty vague, and in this case, it's like, well, the only thing we can do is kill off half the population or not even half, but like poor people essentially, because his version is that the Earth is heating up to shake off the virus. But he and his rich friends, including Barack Obama, were going to get away from that, which I think is kind of not hateful, but I'll get into that later. My issue with that. So they save. It's kind of ironic that they save the world and thus continue to doom the world, because if what he's saying is absolutely true, then you just screwed everybody. I don't know. It just that his plan. I know it's supposed to be a ridiculous plan, but it just felt pretty dumb, even to get on board with.
I found it quite fun. I'm glad they didn't do it as like, well, I guess it's kind of a little early for that, but like if this movie was made this year, the character would look a lot like Elon Musk.
Right. But I think part of the problem is that this all comes up to me. I start thinking about all this because of how hard that centerpiece sucked the air out of everything.
Well, okay. Well, let's do that now then, because I'm going to read you my notes of that, of the Westboro Baptist Church. This sequence is great. I love the fighting choreography. Mm-hmm. I love him beating up the guy with a censer. And this is literally my American dream of just walking to a church of dogshit Christians and murdering the fuck out of them with abandon. Just stabbing them with crucifixes, and just a full church of redneck garbage Christians, Jesus fucking pieces of shit, like all Christians are. Oh God, this is my dream. And I finally got to live it out on camera.
See,
No
like,
offense, Christians.
that's like if they, as someone from the school of punch a Nazi, absolutely, punch a Nazi. But like, if these people were doing something, I'd be more on board for that. And particularly like, they're saying hateful shit. That sucks. Yeah, I agree. But I don't think they need to be like viciously murdered because of it. And because like he's taken control of and does like, you actually have this tool, the spy has been, turned into this tool that's all his expertise and all this stuff is coming in the forefront and just viciously murdering all these otherwise innocent people, who for all we know have not done anything, right?
Well, they walked into a church with a fucking Confederate flag in the way in.
Right. No, they're pieces of shit. I get it. I'm just saying that like, I'm not applauding their murder. And then because like he kind of goes, oh man, that was sort of terrible what I did. And then the movie just moves on from it. The movie wants to kind of be like, wait a minute, that might have been bad. Oh no, it's not. It's fine. And I think that irritates me more than if they just went, fuck yeah, dude.
I was just more exultant in the fuck yeah, dude. Because I mean, again, I just want to reiterate on the show, John and Alex together as a team advocate the death of all Christians.
It's more that I'm not 15 anymore is kind of the thing. I get it. Like if you are 15, you're like, yeah, oh, this is edgy. It feels like really try hard edgelord shit.
I just found it like cathartic.
I
given the America we live in right now, that felt nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't advocate viciously murdering old women. Sorry.
Let me. Yeah, all right. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on a show with a bitch. Though weirdly, this movie does prove those like weirdo fucking right-wing Q Christians right, because it turns out the elites do have a system of subterranean tunnels and bases that go to different cities. So I mean, I guess I was a little wrong.
Yeah, it ties into that. Yeah, all those things.
All right.
Sure.
I'll pull back my jihad of every single Christian and say, fine, 95% of them deserve to be put up against the wall.
I think because it was done, my issue is not so much that it was done, but because it was done so gleefully, that the movie did it so gleefully and then kind of tried to backpedal away from it and then backpedaled away from that.
I didn't like the backpedaling. I'm there with you there. Yeah.
Well, because then I started thinking about what any of this sort of means, and it took me out of the spirit of the movie of being just dumb fun. And then I started to go like, oh, this, it all sort of became unraveled for me. Whereas I was having fun. And when I first saw it, because I saw it like probably like 2014, 2015 when it came out. And I remember like overall liking it, but kind of being like, I don't know. That felt a little weird. And the very end feels fucking awful. But I was like, yeah, it's okay. This time it's like in 12 Monkeys when Bruce Willis talks about seeing the same movie multiple times, like coming back to it when you've aged. The movie hasn't changed, but you've changed. Is it my taste now or just not for this movie? Yeah,
because you're a coward and you gave in and now you're just like a dirty pig capitalist.
Yeah. Yes, that's the problem.
It is.
Whereas this movie is espousing socialism through.
You gave up your fucking balls, John.
Yeah.
You got cucked by society.
That's exactly what happened.
I'm
a full-on beta gamma niner, whatever the problem is now.
I really hope this isn't anyone's first episode. Because I really hope no one thinks, because I'll bring up my next point, because maybe I can save myself a little bit. I think opening your movie, and even 2014, which I know was quite a few years ago at this point, but opening your movie with the most problematic song from the 80s, probably not. That's Dire Straits. That one with the little who plays the guitar. Yeah. I mean, I maybe not in 24. Like, we're aware that's probably not. What? It's like Gary Glitter in fucking Joker. Dude, he's literally a pederast. You don't use that song anymore.
But you know what? Like, if they did and they like just leaned into that, I'd be like, man, fuck this hateful piece of shit. But they would have at least had more of an ethos there. Where I think part of what irritates me about this and its hatefulness is that it keeps waffling on it. Like there's this awful zombie movie called like Range 13 or something like that. That's made by like the fucking Black Rifle Coffee guys or something. Just tier 1 operator dickbag or something. And it's apparently like extremely hateful. But it's a movie from those guys. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
And so like,
I forgot my character for this show. I love Black Rifle Coffee. I mean, I got a code for it. Go to blackriflecoffee.com/JawsPod. And type in code CuckBeta and you get 10% off.
Yeah. Whereas for me, if you type in John Self-Righteous, you get a discount on Tumblr. I don't know. Does that cost anything?
Like those dumb shits that like you know how to spell righteous. You hear that? Team Alex. Because inexplicably this episode, I have both self-esteem and right-wing politics.
I'm for half of it. I'm not going to say which.
Well, I mean, look, audience at home, I know him off mic. It's not the self-confidence. Let's talk about Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's in a movie. Yeah.
So Mark Hamill is in this movie because there's a character in the comic this is based on named Mark Hamill. And I should step back real quick and say part of I think my hackles are up in particular for this movie. And I will admit to perhaps coming at it somewhat unfairly is the source material. I have not read the source material, but I have read other comics by Mark Millar, who wrote this. Mark Millar is responsible for some really good comics like Red Sun, where Superman lands as, what if Superman landed in Russia?
Oh, yeah, I read that one. I like that one.
Good.
Yeah.
But then he does absolute fucking garbage like Wanted, which this same director turned into a movie and changed a lot of the super hateful shit about that. But he also did Kick-Ass, which I'm kind of middle of the road about. He does a lot of that fucking bullshit edgelord stuff. Yeah, kind of like a worse Garth Ennis, if such a thing is possible.
Yeah, and Mark Millar did the edgy Batman shit back in the 90s, right?
I don't know if he did that. He did some of the Ultimate stuff, like the Ultimate X-Men. He did that one super edgy, what if Batman was a villain, where the Bat guy type villain dude rigged a woman's uterus with bombs if they tried to abort the incestual baby that he had her. Yeah, it's just so fucking ridiculous, and just it's look what I'm doing rather than trying to say something with what he's doing, which is something I think that this movie suffers from.
Okay, so Mark Hamill is in this movie, and I mean, I guess here's the question: is Mark Hamill bad at acting?
I don't think so. I think he's good at a certain kind of acting. I think he's great. Can you hear that? Mm-hmm. My cat is screaming outside of the door.
Yes, I hear a cat making caterwauling noises.
Yeah. He starts doing that when I'm in here for whatever reason.
John, I'm going to hand you this gun and you know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. He's great at voiceover and stuff like that. I always kind of feel bad for an actor that okay, you're surrounded by British actors, do a British accent. That's got to feel like so much extra pressure of am I doing this right? Or if, he knows hey guys, sorry in advance, I'm playing this very, ridiculous. I'm Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. He's not that bad, but I just can't help but wonder.
Yeah, his accent I didn't think was the worst thing ever, but he's unconvincing. Maybe it's just because he's fucking Luke Skywalker, so it's hard to turn that off,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's. I mean, in particular, I thought he was great in Last Jedi, though I didn't love the movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he put in a good performance there.
And I like his
voice work.
Great in the Guyver.
I was going to just bring up the Guyver for no reason. All right, here's somebody else we should talk about. The only other thing I know Taron Egerton from is I think he was a voice on the recent Dark Crystal thing. What should I know him from? Because he's famous, and I don't know this man.
Well, he was. I mean, this was a big thing for him.
So he's famous from this.
Well, not just from this, because he went on to do other things. He did that what's it called, Rocket Man, with where he's the Elton John guy. And I've only seen my partner watch some of it on a plane, so I kind of looked, saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it was flashy or whatever. But I don't think they liked it. But I haven't seen it.
And here's a question for you then. Is he Joel Edgerton's kid or something?
Oh yeah. Well, canonically for this show, yes, because that's what we said last time.
Did we say that?
Yes. We decided they were related.
Why did that come up?
Because we were talking about doing this movie.
Oh, it came up for this. Oh, Jesus Christ. My brain is just fucking mush.
No,
really? So last episode, this came up.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. I'm just going to kill myself.
But I don't think so, because Joel Edgerton is Australian, and this guy's British. He's Welsh, actually.
Ugh, he's Welsh. Oh, God.
Which
no wonder
actually,
I don't like him.
Merlin was supposed to be Welsh, but Mark Strong couldn't get the accent. So he's like, how about if I were Scottish? And they're like, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Welsh is a hard accent to get. I mean, not that I'm good at accents, but that's one that I can't even I can't even do it a version that someone would recognize as I'm doing a Welsh accent. Or I could do like a shitty Scottish and people go, oh, that's the worst Scottish accent. But you knew I was doing Scottish.
Yeah, it's like trying to do a mid-Atlantic accent. You don't see a lot of people trying that. That's why people were going nuts when Kate Winslet did it in that.
That's because they drown, you dumb shit. This isn't Aquaman. The mid-Atlantic. Yeah,
I got it.
I know you said this movie's misogynistic, but I think Sword Feet is like the coolest lady character that I've seen in a movie in a while.
Sure, and she's fine and like joins the long list of James Bond villains that are just like, what if someone had a disability, but it was awesome?
Yeah. Because there's that in the end battle where she jumps through the glass and they do that like cool, like slow down, pause, gun pull. That's like the most badass, like, I really liked her a lot. I think she pulled off everything well.
Sophia Boutella, who I think the only other thing I've seen her in is that the third Abrams Star Trek movie, Beyond.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
That was a neat character. Like, well, it's a neat villain. I guess I'll say that.
It's a neat gimmick. Yeah.
Gimmick,
oh, and the other part where she starts doing the whole Eddie Gordo on the ground when she's fighting fucking Eggsy was the coolest shit in the universe.
Yeah. Some nice capoeira nonsense.
Yes.
I also, I like performance-wise, well, while we're on that tip, I did like it's not even a romantic interest. It's the best friend role of
Roxy?
Yeah, the only other Kingsman person.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Yeah. That's why the misogyny line actually kind of threw me, but I'm like, whatever. Like, you've got your opinion.
Well, here's part of the thing is, so you have this character that when the training montage, the overall training section of the movie starts, is superior in every way. Like she's, on it and, very, very competent, whatever. And then just stays there while he gets better and better. Like they're like, you made it to the last thing, but you don't see her do anything kind of amazing. And then she just keeps getting saved. And then eventually she's just a person to fire a missile and then just gets to hang out in the snow while action is happening. And I thought that was kind of, with looking at the overall picture of like, well, that's, this movie isn't that great towards women, but it's more just what a stupid thing to have this character do.
I was going more the other way, that it's like we actually got like a female lead, that her character isn't that she's a female and that she doesn't fuck the other guy. Mm-hmm. Like that her like, it was just kind of nice to be like, at no point there's no sexual tension between them. There's no, it's just kind of like, nope, they're both on the same journey.
Yeah. See, I think I watched and you'll hear more about this during the recommendations thing. A movie that was made very close to this was The Man from U.N.C.L.E., that sort of remake they tried to do with.
Oh, I forgot that happened.
Yeah. And I think that does what this is trying to do so much better. This has a certain tone that the other one's not trying to do. But I think in terms of like making a fun spy movie again, having those James Bond trappings, but not like, because some of this they're trying to do like the James Bond stuff, but like elevate it to this level of absurdity to kind of show how ridiculous it all is.
Yeah.
But while also, and I hate this phrase, but it wants to have its cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, like it's like, isn't this stuff dumb? And then they do it.
See, I don't disagree with you, but I like it for that. Like, I like it. It's reveling in being dumb. Like, it's a 60s spy movie. And no one watches those movies and think, oh, these are good movies. Like, you're watching it because they're dumb. And I think I felt like this landed that tone. But I totally, like, as much as I would like to call you dumb and stupid for this, like, I totally get where you're coming from. And maybe on another night, I might actually be more on your side. But this one really It hit my little button. Hit my man in the canoe. It got me. I'm talking about my clit, John.
Yeah, I know. That's fine.
Okay, good. All right, you got it. All right.
Mm-hmm. And I accept you. But the training montage is just full of him like getting one over on the posh kids in it, which is fine. But I also like couldn't help but wondering what exactly are they. By the time it gets to the end and like he actually has to do stuff, I feel like he hasn't been that trained in stuff. Like, I know he can shoot a gun at night, he can not drown, and he can fall from an airplane and parachute okay.
So they make, and I think, I'm glad they didn't show it, but they made reference to that there was a bunch of other training going on that we didn't see. I think maybe they could have been significantly clearer that there was a lot more training happening than because it just seems like the tests were all the training they got, and you're like, no, that's not nearly enough. But at one point they're like, because apparently they teach him neurolinguistic programming. Obviously they teach him like high end like fight sequences. So there's obviously, yeah, but maybe they could have.
But yeah, I mean, so Because I didn't really get the sense when he was like ready that he was ready. Like there was the training montage. I know he was good at certain stuff, and I actually liked the stupid gimmick of their big final test is you have to use they call it something fancier, but basically like you have to seduce your
NLP,
target.
yeah, neuro-linguistic programming. Yeah.
Right. And then it's all the same woman. Like
yeah.
For both the guys and the girl, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it's just treated like, okay, this is the thing we have to do.
Which is very like the original, like, so the Ian Fleming James Bond is more like that, where he'll sleep with a dude, he'll sleep with a lady. Like he's just like vicious, anything to get the job done kind of thing. And this is obviously more fun than that, but like, I think that's a little bit of a call towards that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's some of it too, with my reaction to this movies. I think in the interim years of watching this, I've gotten much more into the John Le Carre stuff of like the moral rot at the center of all this. And
I don't know what John Le Carre means.
He wrote like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and The Spy That Came In From the Cold, and like what spycraft actually is and how awful it actually is. But I still can appreciate this kind of stuff. But like, and so that one, it wasn't presented like, oh yeah, things are about to get hot. It was more just like, this is what spies do. And I like that. Which is funny because what happens when they try to do that is they're all trying to talk to this woman at some, she's like an heiress or something, and talk to her at some club. And then a gentleman shows up and offers them champagne. That actor was the chemist in Mandy. So to have him drug them is very funny. Oh. Yeah, he was Joe Chill in Batman Begins. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I just because I had watched Mandy again fairly recently, and yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. Very much a that guy actor. Including playing Merlin in Arthur and Merlin, Knights of Camelot. I don't know what that is, but he was Merlin in that.
Yeah, I think he's the one that liked to push the pram a lot.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Oh, one of the scenes, as much as I did enjoy this movie, the fucking Halo, the airplane go jumpy jump, that took a little long. Like, I got it. Yeah.
It was long, but it was also just, I'm still not entirely sure what happened, because they're doing this jump, and then halfway, then they all like, oh, there you are. We have these heads up displays that shows where people are. This is cool. This is fun. We're skydiving. And then Merlin chimes in with, okay, well, one of you doesn't have a parachute. And then that causes them all to not know how to parachute anymore, which seemed odd to me.
No, they were trying to figure out how to make someone not die.
Yeah, but no, they all immediately panic and start going into a head, like dropping down, like the like torpedoing towards the earth.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And then eventually only Eggsy is the only one that's like, what if we held on to each other? Which,
no, because he said that at first, and then the one guy was a friggin' pussy, and then they had an odd number of people, and it stopped working. Like,
right, but everyone was panicking. He was the only one that knew that. These are supposed to be special agents, and this is supposed to be like the like the semifinals or whatever. It just felt a little bit like, okay, now's a weird time to have that happen.
He's a dirty poor. And he's got nothing to live for, and they all have like mansions and yachts and shit. Right. So like they've got stuff to go home to. What's he going to do home? Go home and watch his mom get another train run on her? Like,
right. So he's able to stay cool.
That scene wasn't fond of.
No.
Yeah, that made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And again, like his mom being a person of just like no agency, of just like, oh, my husband's dead. Better give up entirely and not have a character anymore.
Well, again, because the poor have a improper moral disposition, and if they'd stop having avocado toast or over there beans on toast in the morning, they could probably afford a house of their own.
Well, also, I feel like this movie is somewhat telling in how British it is, in that I feel like there's more stuff in Europe about SIM cards than there are here. I've seen a lot more like British television shows like that where they talk about like switching SIM cards or something, and I feel like here it was, other than The Wire, I've never seen anyone be like, SIM cards. I think SIM cards are important for international travel. And if you're in Europe, I think it's like when you cross the border, you can just buy a SIM card. Like if you're in France and go to Germany, I think you just buy a German SIM card, pop it in your phone, and it would work. Yeah. What is it?
Oh, I was going to give you some insight into European SIM cards.
Oh, excellent. We're going to get some European SIM cards.
Oh, please. Yes. I would like to know this. Yeah.
You basically, like, here you get a phone and a SIM card. There, it's like you get a card and people, like, top stuff off. Like, you don't always necessarily have, like, a plan. Like, you just buy minutes or text messages. And so people, like, switch out SIM card all the time. And I think some of that, like when I went over there, I bought a phone, or someone gave me a phone, I bought a card. Like it's just
Okay.
a big part of like how cell phones
So
work right now.
it's less the phone and more just the card that you use interchangeably with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or again, yeah, it's like you like here, it's like you got to get a plan and sign up with a carrier and all this stuff. There, you're like you just go buy a card, SIM card,
Okay.
and then add money to it as you want.
Okay. That makes way more sense than the way we do it.
Thank you, Hazel.
Alex says thank you.
You're welcome.
I say thank you also.
Random trivia.
Yeah, that makes more sense than the crossing borders thing. Yeah.
I guess American audiences went, yeah, that's fine. I know enough that that's a thing, that I would like to have that in my phone. And they sell it well enough that the idea, the part of Valentine's plan is he's giving away these SIM cards that will just let you access the internet forever, which can you imagine if someone didn't make you pay for that? Terrible. And the only way they would is to trick you.
Or sign up for Net Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Net Zero?
Mm-hmm.
I'm old. Here's another scene I enjoyed, and again, I wish it was a different actor, but I like that inexplicably he just serves McDonald's when Samuel Jackson.
Well, it's funny in that, like, it sort of reads like product placement, but then Donald Trump happened. So it's like, like
this is before that. It's
where
so
he had, where he had the Super Bowl people show up and serve them all McDonald's.
Yeah.
So as a Prussian thing, it's kind of funny. And also, I was reminded in looking at stuff about this movie of that thing in like 2019 where someone photoshopped, they took the church scene and photoshopped Donald Trump's head onto Colin Firth and had like all these like journalist figures or whatever that he was just straight up murdering.
Oh yeah.
There's like a little controversy about that.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Someone, I did not read this article, but someone wrote something comparing this movie to Harry Potter and said like it's basically a spy movie version of Harry Potter.
Yeah, I had that thought as well. Yeah, that it's, a kid from the slums, shitty background. Though Taron Egerton, and I wanted to say this earlier, it's not from every angle, but there are certain angles that he looks exactly like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He sometimes looks like Tom Hardy to me. Sometimes he's got like, I think he's got one of those faces. Yeah, and I think like it's particularly like outside of his like bruv costume of like hat or whatever, like he's really, he's like handsome man. That's it. Like I can't. There's nothing much to him. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought he was charming enough in this, and I thought, he did what he needed to do pretty well. I didn't like what his character becomes kind of at the end, where he's this kind of like, and I know it's kayfabe or whatever, but when gives his very specific drink order or something, it didn't feel like I saw the journey where he was able to do that and have that make sense. I feel like maybe you've seen this movie, play, book, whatever it is. I have not. But the reference to My Fair Lady, I feel like may have informed some stuff that I'm not aware of because I don't know My Fair Lady other than that's a reference to a thing. Yeah. Nope. I know Loverly, and that's it as a reference, and that's yep. So John, I just want to tell you that Mr. Pickles here reminds me of that fact every time I take a shit. I found that line very funny. I didn't want to find it funny. I don't like shit humor, but man, that made me laugh. Well, it's great. So the final test is that you are sitting down. You have been given a puppy when you join the Kingsman in the training, and it's going to be with you the whole time. And he picks a pug puppy, thinking it's going to be a bulldog, and no, it's a pug. And they've gone close. He names it JB after James Bond because spies. No, after Jason Bourne, who's also a spy. No, Jack Bauer, because they need to let us know that other spy movies exist. And he sits down with Michael Caine, and Michael Caine, the head of the Kingsman organization, is like, "Hey, you got to kill your dog. That's the final test. Is you got to kill your dog." And he, in the same time, Roxy has to do the same thing. They're the only two people left, and he doesn't do it. He doesn't want to kill the dog. Dog's too cute. So Michael Caine's like, "Get out of here. You suck." And stuff happens. This is a pointless scene in the middle happens that he ends up back with Colin Firth at Colin Firth's house. And Colin Firth is like, "Yeah, I did the same thing," and then shows him his dead dog that's been stuffed and put above the toilet. Turns out, I didn't kill my dog. It's a blank. It's just to see if you would kill your dog. And I passed the test, and then my dog lived for 15 more years, and then I stuffed him and put him in my bathroom, which, I mean, makes that even weirder. So I kind of like that. That's why it's so odd. Yeah, it comes from this like weird, like psychotic, like I remember the sacrifice I made to like, no, I just loved him. I want him to be where I shit. John, I just would like to point out to you that I'm a Catholic whore currently enjoying Congress out of wedlock with my black Jewish boyfriend who works at a military abortion clinic. So, hail seen and have a lovely afternoon, madam.
That was very funny, particularly like with Colin Firth doing it. That was
his
very
delivery
clever.
was so crisp. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that greatly. Yeah,
that's the line that starts off or leads to the fracas in the church, because he goes there.
Yes.
They've been tracking Samuel Jackson, but Samuel Jackson has sort of been tracking them. He's doing a test run of how his sim chips will do, which is kind of funny. That like why is it just him and his employee? Like his minion there,
sword feet. Yeah.
I mean, hey, hands-on management, that's great. I would have just left that up to someone else. I'd be like, you guys, because you get busted. I got plausible deniability, but
yeah.
He's cocky.
He's a Bond villain. I mean, there's a reason that phrase.
But I feel like Bond
exists.
villains, they would have henched that up. They would have.
Maybe.
What's the word I'm looking for? Not delineate. Delegated. Yes, they would have delegated that task.
The other thing we missed, well, not missed, but it's just a line I liked where they just like, there's the reason the aristocratic class developed a weak chin.
Yes. Yeah.
Sick burn, dude. Sick burn.
Which is funny because that's part of his whole thing too, is that like, yeah, we need to infuse the lifeblood, the Kingsman with the lifeblood of like this working class guy who we will make into an aristocrat. All right. And you get like a little tick of that towards the end where it turns out Michael Caine is in on the plan as well. This is something that I never fully understood, because you get the sense throughout that, Samuel L. Jackson is coercing these world leaders to go along with it, to get these chips in their neck that will protect them from the harmful SIM card like mind control stuff. But he can also blow up their head whenever he wants to as a failsafe. I don't like, why did they go along with it? Like if you're,
my guess is they didn't know he could blow up his head.
Right. But let's say you are Barack Obama. And
I'm nothing saying I'm not.
And he's in the White House, and it's you and him and his sword feet, and he's like, all right, so I'm gonna kill half the world, and you're either with me or against me. Well, I don't understand what leverage he has there. Like in the Norwegian, they do the Norwegian people or whatever, and he has his hench people do something, but it just didn't feel like, why would everyone go along with this? Again, it's a James Bond
just sounded
villain.
like he's persuasive. He's a James Bond villain. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's like that too much, not enough thing where it's like, I saw what he was doing, but then I started again, because like all the fun was sucked out of it for me. I started thinking about it and it didn't.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It didn't really work. At the same time, I do think Barack Obama would absolutely be on board with this. He'd make sure some of his famous friends were there, but he'd be fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, he built all those underground trains that like rape children or whatever the hell those fucking idiot Q people think.
Yeah.
The Michael Caine thing is I like him as the guy that's on his side because again, fucking Mark Strong's right there, where he is so obviously the guy that's on the side of Samuel L. Jackson. It turns out, no, he's not at all. He's just bald. And as we all know, bald equals evil.
He just has a creepy voice. But but my point was that when he poisons Michael Caine at the end, Michael Caine like devolves into full Cockney before he dies. And so you get the sense that maybe he had this similar sort of thing. You know what I mean? That maybe underneath all that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But if that was true, then what would that have mattered, that he's the fresh blood? But again, nothing in this movie matters. So
that'd be so great if he devolves full Cockney. Like, go get the apples and pears. Like, just like full Cockney rhyming slang.
I can see on your Chevy Chase, you weren't expecting me to come. Yeah.
One of the things I did enjoy, and I hate myself for it, where the Swedish princess promises that if he saves the world, they can do it in their asshole.
No, it's
so stupid.
It's so. But that's one of the things that I think left me so like feeling with such a sour taste in my mouth at the end of this movie, because it's so shitty. Because it's so like, again, like you have. Obviously shitty. James Bond is always like, the woman is the prize and whatever. And so you're trying to do that in this absurd way. And the fact that like, if she just said that and he was like, oh boy, and then went and did it, but the fact they come back to it.
That's the thing. That's what killed me. They went back to it and showed her butt.
Yeah, it's just, it's
so fucking.
And not that hey, if you want to boof, me. I have no problems with whatever people want to do. But like, it made everything just feel so much grosser Again, in this way that like the middle part did with the church attack, where just everything that was fun, like all of a sudden starts to feel gross. But I don't feel like the movie is doing that, like is trying to do that. It's trying to be like, see, isn't this all in service of some terrible thing? It's like, hell yeah. And in fact, I'm sure of that because there have been interviews with Matthew Vaughn where he's like, some people are trying to call me not feminist for this, which just the interviews with him about it are real, like tone deaf and shitty. It's
She's
just like,
Swedish. She owns her sexuality. They didn't come from the puritanical American background.
sure.
She
but
can
it
give
just,
her butt to anybody.
right. But it's presented in a very like 14-year-old boy's fantasy kind of thing, which I know that that's what these movies are, but it's just, it's ugh.
Yeah, I have no good argument. It tickled me.
Yeah,
especially if they went back to it and shoot a close up of her ass through the glass. Is so stupid. I love it.
It's just like, because that to me, that's just like edgelord shit. And I'm I
got you, and that's probably what they were actually doing. Mm-hmm. But in my head, it's just like this uber heightening stupid, like, hey, you know, at the end of James Bond movies where he kisses the girl, this is he gets anal from the Swedish princess.
And if the rest of the movie, like, I don't know, because it feels out of place with the rest of it. Like, I get what they were trying to do, but it just, again, this movie trying to like have these tropes, but then like absolutely like point them out, but then absolutely do them. Like like this would make sense in an Austin Powers movie, you know, like an not the Austin Powers of him in the future, but like an actual Austin Powers adventure in the 60s. Yeah. Yes. But not in this movie.
What did you think about, and you'll be shocked to learn I enjoyed it, but what did you think about the whole, when they're playing Pomp and Circumstances and everybody's head starts exploding?
I will give the movie this, that it went for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's something wild in a mainstream movie to see, that they're like, yeah, no, we're just going to blow up a bunch of the wealthy's heads with this, because when they foil his plan, Valentine's plan, Samuel Jackson, and then they're able to hack into those chips that are in people's heads and make their heads blow up. And like, I know why they didn't, because they probably still want to keep an R rating. But I wish, instead of the colorful explosions, I wish they would have all died like Mark Hamill. Because Mark Hamill, his head blows up and it's gross and there's a huge explosion. When all these people die, it's this colorful.
It's like that Holi festival or whatever it is in India, where you throw the
color things. And while it's neat, it's also like, I'd rather they just blow it up, because otherwise it just feels like grandstanding and like, hey, isn't this impressive? Which, I mean, it is, but it's still just, I think because I already fell into the feeling like this movie was so edgelordy, it didn't have as great of an effect on me. Yeah.
Now here's something that you need to enjoy. Mm-hmm. Is Chekhov's vomit at the end of the movie.
Yes.
Where they set up that he's going to vomit at the sight of blood, and then he gets stabbed through the foot with Swordfoot's leg. Stabbed through the chest with Swordfoot's leg. It looks down and then pukes all over. It's so stupid. Oh God, this movie's great.
Yeah, and like that's the kind of like heightening, and like I get that. Like that's fun. That was a fun little payoff. Also, but like his machine was also so dumb that like he had to keep his hand on it in order for it to keep working.
It really makes very little sense.
Oh, it was so stupid, but fine, whatever.
Did you? So yeah, that's the climactic. Yay, they won. Did you watch the after credits or the mid credits thing?
Oh, I didn't realize there was one. No.
So he goes into the pub and his mom's there with the shitty abusive boyfriend.
Oh,
and he shows
yes. No, I watched it the first time I saw it. I didn't.
Yeah, he's in full suit and does exactly the thing that. Who was the other guy?
Colin Firth.
Galahad
was his
Galahad. I was trying to think of his character name. That Galahad did in that first bit, and he actually pulls it off kind of well. It's vaguely satisfying. He does the throw a pint of beer at the guy's head.
Yeah. So here's a question I have. We know Michael Caine was involved, right? Were all the Kingsmen involved?
No, I shouldn't. I'm not so sure, but I should say I believe not. I think what happened was during the quote unquote fitting that Samuel Jackson had was when he. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. Forget it. That was a terrible theory.
Well, my point is more that like all those dudes that you saw virtually through the glasses sitting around the Kingsman table, what were they doing?
Yeah.
How come it was just these two? How come Merlin couldn't contact them? Or was it just that? And I'm not saying the movie didn't address this. I'm saying I missed this if they did.
No,
because was he like, well, we don't know who we can trust, and I know I can trust you two, so we're going with you two.
Yeah. I had that thought too, and my explanation I just realized was wrong. So no, I think they just kind of hand wave it.
Well, because I mean, it doesn't. It's not like it doesn't make sense because as you see when he is confronted by the dude that got kicked out of the Kingsman thing, the really poshy guy, he's there with his family. That generally, as is established, these people come from wealthy backgrounds, so it would make sense that they were there. So it would be out of the blue that you couldn't trust anyone, but these two. It's just one of those things I was thinking. It's like it made me think of my complaint about Civil War, the Captain America Civil War, when like all this stuff is happening.
You're
and it's
upset that the South lost. I got it.
Yeah. But in the Captain America one, you
can't call Robert E. Lee Captain America. We've gone over this.
No, I'm not calling him. I'm calling Jefferson Davis Captain America.
Oh, sorry.
That like, where's the Hulk in this? What's Iron Man doing? While all this is going on.
Yeah.
That you've established these people, but I don't know. It was fine. Like that part of it, it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, the second hour of this just was a slog for me.
Well, in conclusion, John is wrong. No, I agree with both John and I in this one, but I enjoyed the shit out of it. But like, I could totally, if I had read it as edgelord while watching it, I think I'd probably be more on your side. But like, I read it as purposefully kind of silly to kind of ape the 60s style, and yeah, I enjoyed that. So,
well, and like
Alex
I said,
gives it a recommend.
When I first saw it, when it first came out, I enjoyed it with an asterisk, but now I'm just like, nah, no, thank you. So that's more me. You might have fun watching it. I don't know. I can't believe I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that they keep making stuff. Just like I read this review of Running Man earlier this year. The guy was talking about how like you're never going to go wrong in making a dystopian future if you bet on like our worst tendencies and just making those, like amplifying those.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's this movie. I feel like if you were in the world of Running Man, this would be an insanely popular movie.
No, I like it. So fuck you. All right. So recommendations. I have an actual one that was weird. Have I done Spider-Man yet?
No.
So I went back because I watched the new Spider-Man, which, by the way, hard recommend. The new Spider-Man is delightful, but it's new and people are going to watch it. I went back and watched the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans, which I'd never seen before. And the first of those two is great. Fucking Garfield slays it as Spider-Man. It is so good. The second one's hot dog shit. Don't even go anywhere near it. But the first one was really good. I was very surprised. Like,
nice.
Because I don't skip movies, comic book movies all that frequently. I enjoyed them. But like, for some reason I missed these completely. And he's very charming in it.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth on that guy. Sometimes I like him. Sometimes I really don't like him. But this also reminds me real quick before we eject from Kingsman completely, is that a lot of what they're trying to do different in this just feels like a superhero movie. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we got all this gearing up tech and, I have these new powers and I'm learning how to use them. It just felt like a superhero movie. But
I think you're actually just in the wrong order. I think superhero movies just feel like old spy movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's an Earl Burroughs that like, so if you're trying to reinvigorate them, it's like, well, we have. We did decades ago in a little movie called Order of the Black Eagle.
The greatest spy movie ever made.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we need to do the other one of that at some point.
Who plays the lizard in that one, in that Spider-Man? Is it a character actor guy? Because I can't remember if he was in the Raimi third. I never saw the third Raimi Spider-Man, and I think the lizard was in that too. I don't recall.
It was Reese Ifans.
Okay, yeah, different guy than the one I'm thinking of.
He's like an actual guy. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's
Welsh,
in a subsequent.
Yeah.
He's in a subsequent Kingsman movie. I don't know if it's the latest one or the Golden Circle, but he's in the Kingsiverse as well.
All right. Well, fantastic. All right, so give me a recommendation, John.
My recommendation is The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's not a perfect movie, but it's Guy Ritchie, and it's much more of that kind of 60s feeling and stylish. And I really like the soundtrack. I kind of have a soft spot for Henry Cavill. I don't think he's the best actor ever, but I like him enough. And this one has an actual cannibal in it. Armie Hammer. He was suspected of being a cannibal. So
I think he just said he dreamt of cannibalizing someone. I don't think he actually suspected being an actual cannibal.
Which is also funny because this movie also reminded me of this terrible 80s movie called Never Too Young to Die with John Stamos is a similar thing. Like his dad is a secret agent who dies, and then he's approached by someone to take over. And they have to fight Gene Simmons, who's a hermaphrodite who's trying to poison the water.
Yeah.
It's a movie with Gene Simmons, and it's somehow less hateful than the Kingsman movie.
Or it could be like If Looks Could Kill with Richard Grieco.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
Remember that movie? Yeah.
Oh yeah. If Looks Could Kill, I'd hand Grieco a mirror. I think that was. I don't remember if that was David Spade or Dennis Miller, but that's all I know about that movie.
It's wrong because he was a very handsome young man.
He was.
And they are golems that had to be on late night comedy. Oh, on the Henry Cavill note, I watched somewhat recently the Mission Impossible with him. Mm-hmm. And I didn't pay enough attention to even have an opinion on it, but I liked him in it. He was compelling.
Well, that's another series that I think lays waste to the they're all serious. All spy movies are serious. I think the Mission Impossible, because Ghost Protocol had come out, and I haven't seen anyone since Ghost Protocol, but Ghost Protocol is really fun. But yeah, anyway, like Man from U.N.C.L.E., don't watch this. Watch Man from U.N.C.L.E. And I'm also enjoying The Righteous Gemstones season 2 on HBO. I'm a sucker for Danny McBride though, so. I've been liking that. And John Goodman is fantastic in that show. So
that's like a Steven Universe spinoff.
Yep. It's all about gay rocks. Isn't that Steven Universe?
I mean, I'm actually not even gonna agree with that because I don't want to be that reductive.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Steven Universe. I know there's rocks, there's gems, and there's the kid that wears the star shirt and everyone talks like they're in therapy.
Yeah, pretty much. So John, for next episode, I think that we should probably direct people to patreon.com/Alex Bolin and have people sign up because we have plenty of bespoke audio ready for their download.
Mm-hmm. Not off the rack. Got to be bespoke. Or sorry, not off the peg. Got to be bespoke.
Because you know what? We made these episodes just for you, our sweet, sweet Patreon listeners. And if you don't have the cash or don't feel like giving us it, just make sure to share and subscribe and do all the things other podcasts tell you to do. Now, legitimately, what would you like to watch for next episode?
Kingsman made me think of how much I enjoy nobility. And as such, I would like to watch other things that noble people do with their pastime, such as dueling. So I think we should watch The Last Duel by Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I think we already did that one. Heath Ledger, there's a bunch of modern music in it.
That was the first duel.
Oh, okay. This is the last one. Yeah, this one with Kylo Ren. Okay.
The Knight's Duel. This is Dude's Duel.
Yeah. This is the guys from Boston and Kylo Ren. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is Goodwill Dueling.
Goodwill Dueling. Fantastic. Yes, it is on HBO Max or, steal it from, the Pirate Bay or something. Because, I ain't going to stop you.
Yeah, the Kingsmen might, but I won't.
Even if the Kingsmen do, you could probably, just apologize. They're polite. They probably won't kill you for it.
I would like to see that. I would like to see a spy break into a whole thing and they just go, "Oh, we sorry." And then the spy's like, yeah, okay. Well, I hope you learned your lesson. I
mean, I do believe a gentleman forgives. That's the whole, yeah.
That would be nice.
All right. So we'll see you next time and discussing The Last Duel. Bye.
Goodbye.